Hello, how everybody's doing? Today I'm gonna make a video talk about politics because it's necessary to talk about politics today. It's necessary to be informed about what is happening around you in the country you currently reside. So when Joe Biden was running for re-election, everybody was saying Joe Biden is in cognitive decline. Joe Biden is not well. He needs to get checked. He needs to go, sit down. He does not need to run for re-elections. The Democrat need to run a primary so they can find who is better to run for the election as a Democrat. The Democrat Party trying to destroy anyone who trying to talk against Joe Biden, and the media also follow the same hymn. Oh, Joe Biden's fine. You guys are just overreacting. You just got overthinking everything. Blah blah blah. So the past few days, since last week, everything has been coming out how Joe Biden has been mentally declined for years, or at least a year before even the elections. So 2022, 2021, everybody already, know that Joe Biden mentally, he's not there anymore. And they were just trying to cover everything. And as it comes out, Axios released a document during the 2024, during the election was going on, the year of elections, the Democrat killed the prosecutor. Why would you release this document during the year of elections? Why are you trying to interfere with the elections? That document was not even the whole truth. The document was even trying to protect Biden, Joe Biden, the former president. That document was even trying to protect him from everything. As we have heard with the audio, Joe Biden was even worse than what the prosecutor wrote on his document. All the news outlets were covering everything now. Whenever someone talk, oh, you don't know, you are not a medical expert, you are not a doctor, you are not a this. And this is why people always call the news fake news. They push the news they want to push, and then they hide everything else. The news they should either tell the whole truth or nothing at all. Because nobody will take them serious if they are watering down the truth, trying to cover up the truth that will benefit them, and release other news that does not benefit them. The news should not benefit from anything. You release the truth to the people. You are for the people. If you are not telling the truth to the people, what is your point? What is your job? You call yourself a journalist? And I'm a journalist. No, you're not. You are just a content creator like all these content creators. You release content you know that's going to benefit you. Anything that will not benefit you, you hide it. That's what the news outlet have become. But yeah, I'm going to play a video right now. It's a CNN. They are having their own, Abby Phillips. I watch Abby Phillips because Scott Jennings is on there. Shawn Michael also always on there, and the guy from the Shark Tank. I always forget his name. But yes, I like them because when they're there, I watch. If they're not there, I don't watch. But here, I find it. So let's all watch their debate.
Good evening. I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Let's get right to what America is talking about. Joe Biden totally effed us. That quote from a top Kamala Harris official as we learn damning new details about the lengths that the White House went to allegedly cover up his declining health. And as George Clooney reportedly said, how they deceived Americans. A new book from CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson sheds light on the events that eventually led to Biden dropping out of this race. Those revelations include staffers contradicting warnings from his doctor, staffers fearing that he'd be in a wheelchair during a possible second term, the inner circle shielding Biden from his own staff, how Biden didn't recognize George Clooney, who is not only a huge movie star, but is a longtime supporter at a fundraiser, how Barack Obama had to rescue Biden several times during that same fundraiser, from jumbled speech to lost moments. And all of this has liberals furious, including David Plouffe. That is the Kamala Harris official who railed against Biden's decision not to leave the race earlier. Quote, "We got so screwed by Biden as a party. The compressed 107-day race was an effing nightmare. Biden totally effed us." And the quote from Clooney himself saying, "The deception by Democrats is, quote, how Trump won." These revelations are why Biden, I think, came out in the last week to try to maybe get ahead of it.
The fact that you have all these people on the Democrat side, whether it's George Clooney, Obama, and others, they are blaming Biden for running for re-election as if they didn't know what was happening. Like, how are you guys blaming a person who was already cognitively, mentally, or cognitively in decline, mentally in decline, to make the correct decisions? You guys already know that man mentally he's not correct. You guys could have tell the people he's not correct. He cannot run for a re-election. Or you guys could have said, okay, if you think you are good, you should run a primary. You should run a primary. If you beat out the people in the primary, then you run for re-election. I think that's how it's supposed to work. If Biden thought he was correct, the Democrats should supposed to say we run in a primary. But they selected Joe Biden until the debate, and then they were like, oh shit, he cannot do this. We cannot be running the presidency for him in the debate. We cannot control everything in the debate. He actually have to speak in front of millions of people. Then you guys realize, oh my God, he's not. When in private, you guys already know all these things. All the Democratic donors and Obama, Clooney, whoever, they all knew this. They just wanted to see if they can remain in power while Biden is the face, but they have the power. They will put Biden in the forefront. They will sit behind making all the decisions because why now? Biden take the blame and the backlash. They sit back, relax. That's what they enjoy. They make all the decisions. Biden even know. I don't think Biden know any decision. All the signature Biden was signing. I don't think he knew what he was signing. But yeah.
But it paints a pretty damning picture of a White House, Bakari, that knew that Joe Biden perhaps was not up to the task, and also a president in Joe Biden who clearly wasn't willing to do what everybody around him seemed to know was the.
Now to come and think about it, now I'm even mad as someone, you can see, Marine hat, as someone who served in the Marine Corps. Now I'm thinking about who was in charge of that Afghanistan withdrawal that cost Marines' lives. Who was behind the order to just pull out just like that without any regards of the safety of anyone? They just ended. They left billions of dollars of equipment. Who was in charge with all these things coming out? Because Biden was now making decisions. So who was in charge of making the decisions of pulling out in Afghanistan the way they did? Who was it? That's what I want to even to understand. Like, who was it? Because if Biden was not making decisions, he's a cognitive decline. Who was the mastermind behind making those decisions? But yeah.
Right thing.
No, I mean, I think you're finding a picture of things that many people didn't know. that's more than disturbing. And I think those people have to answer questions. And let's call them by name. I mean, I think the Anita Dunns of the world have to answer questions. The Valerie Biden Owens have to answer questions. The Joe Bidens have to, the Richettis have to answer questions. All of those people who were in the inner circle of Joe Biden have to answer those questions of how informed was he? What did we know? Many of us who were on that circle or the periphery on the outside of that, I mean, when we had the debate, we were told he had a cold. I didn't even know he had a cough until afterwards. But that's neither here nor there. Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Shapiro or whomever it may have been were not going to beat Donald Trump. And it did not have to do with the level of infirmity.
I don't think you can say that definitively,
In
Bakari.
107 days.
I don't, well, I mean, right, well, okay.
I mean,
so
think
there's
that's
a
what you're
question
saying.
of whether another candidate would have beat Donald Trump or whether any candidate would have had a chance to do it in 107 days. And I think that's what
that's my
David,
point. My exact point is that no one in that time frame,
Right.
and even if, and let's be extremely clear, there's no rule within the Democratic Party process that allows you or us to make a candidate withdraw. He has to do that on his own volition.
Right. I think
Joe
the
Biden
question
has
is
to come to that conclusion.
Why there were people who saw Joe Biden between 2023 and 2024 who came away from those experiences shaken by what they saw. So not just the people in the inner circle, but people who had like passing interactions with him.
How about we change the law between the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, and his personal doctor? In this one case, because cognitive health is actually security for the country. And so you decide you're going to become the president, you agree to this covenant. You don't abide by the Hippocratic Oath of privacy between the doctor and the president. He discloses to the American people every 90 days the state of the president's cognitive health. It's that simple. If you seek the supreme office, the leader of the free world, you give up the right for privacy with your doctor on a cognitive health test. This poor man was broken. And look what happened to the country, and look at how he's being beaten up. It's almost immoral what we're doing to him now to sell books. I was there at the White House dinner watching this. The same reporters who didn't report on him are profiting from his decline.
Which dinner?
See, this is what we're talking about. You see what he just said? The reporters that's supposed to report on it, they didn't want to report. They were waiting for him to either lose the elections or win and then finish his terms. Then they'll start reporting. They will start writing books and profit out of it. Content creators. They are not journalists. They are all content creators. Fake news. They do not report the news for the people. They work for themselves. They want the fame. They don't want they don't want the badge that come with being a journalist. They want the praise. They want the flash. They want the this. They don't want to do the work, the dirty work, the Watergate, the Clinton impeachment with the Monica, what is the name? Lewandowski. I was about to go because there's a soccer player named by the name of Lewandowski. But yes, all these journalists, they are content creators. They don't report the news. Because this was, anybody with two eyes can see Joe Biden was not right. But they were hiding it and they didn't want to report. They did not want to report.
It's outrageous what they're doing.
Which dinner, by the way?
White House Correspondents' Dinner.
What? Oh, you're talking about
I was
just a few weeks
disgusted
ago.
in that.
Actually,
Let me-
I
was
think that I
outrageous.
think we have an agreement. Like, I think that every 90 days, Ronnie Jackson should not be the doctor for Donald Trump. Have an independent neurologist come in
100%.
and let's have it.
100%. There we go. That solves
that's the way to start a
Yeah,
show.
but I guess in a world in which you have, the Dr. Ronnies of the world who will say that the president hung the moon. I'm not even so sure that that's really going to
He
cut
was
it.
lying.
I think this is a fundamentally political problem. Chuck Schumer, according to an excerpt of the book, this is what it says. Schumer wasn't concerned about Biden's acuity, but he was worried about the optics. Another wedding guest who sat at Schumer's table, this was at a wedding, recalled him saying, "If things go south at the debate, me, Barack, Nancy, and Hakeem have a plan B." Schumer would later deny it. It's a political problem that we have here.
Did he mean go south at the debate in that Joe Biden totally, had a malfunction the way we saw, or did he mean just go south at the debate like he doesn't perform well? The fact
It
that
could have been both.
The fact that he was only concerned about the optics and not about the fact that the president of the United States might be in cognitive decline, might be mentally impaired, to me speaks volumes about the lack of character of Chuck Schumer. But the idea that we did not know about this for the years leading up to the presidential campaign, we all saw it with our own eyes. Video after video, speech after speech, statement after statement. The Hur report. The fact that we have people saying today, I didn't know, we had no idea, is outrageous. That's number one. Number two, the cover-up is outrageous. And number three, people were arguing with a straight face that this man could serve 4 more years until, of course, it became untenable at the debate. Honestly, Jake and Alex have done a great service here. This book needs to be written. These stories need to be told because we've lived through the greatest scandal in modern American political history, the cover-up of the decline of the president, the argument that he could serve 4 more years. If he were in office today, if he had somehow won and were in office today, you'd have the same people on TV today saying, he's fine. So, behind closed doors, he's fine.
See, like I say, if he had won, they would keep it. All these documents that's coming out, they would keep it and then wait a few years, then release it, so everybody will know this scandal. Oh my God! Or they would keep it. If when they're about to retire or something happened, then they release it. Content creators, fake news, they don't report the news. The news that people used to, the badge of honor that people used to wear. Oh, I'm a journalist. I'll put my life on the line. I'm about the truth. None of these current journalists are about. They are not about the truth. They don't tell the truth. They try to create content to get rating, to get views. The same thing I'm doing is what they do to get view, to get engagement, to get people to engage. We and people like me are just honest about it. They are not.
And you know it.
I'm for extreme transparency when it comes to presidents, their tax returns, whatever it is. I want to know all the information I can get on men and women, people who seek the highest office. The reality is this. I was actually at the fundraiser that he was there with President Obama and with Jimmy Kimmel. Mm-hmm. He's between two of the sharpest guys in culture, and it was obvious that something was wrong. And when the average people made that observation, they were told over and over and over by political establishment that something was wrong with their eyes. Look,
you knew it. Cheap fakes.
I was
cheap
there.
fakes. The word was cheap fakes.
So here's the deal.
I think we also have the video of Obama guiding Biden off the stage that the Biden campaign, vociferously denied was some kind of sign of his decline, but you see it there, Van.
Yeah, I'm in the audience there, right? And everybody's watching it and everybody's kind of seeing it. Look, for the infrastructure of the party, your girl goes through your text messages. It's better when all the information is out. You're in a better situation when everything is on the table. You know how you done messed up. You guys can begin the healing. Just begin the healing and get over it. Obviously, there was some deception, but you have to move past it now. But nobody was fooled once they put eyes on Joe
But
Biden.
it wasn't just deception about a campaign. The man was the sitting president of the United States. There's more at stake here than just politics. There's in-the-moment decision-making. Was the country at risk? Who was making decisions on behalf of the country? Because obviously the president was impaired, and there were people who knew it. There were people, those same people were lying about it publicly. And now the real question is, Who was making decisions behind the scenes? You can't just move past it.
Why didn't
it happened, and you can't move past
Why
it.
didn't any of the people around? Why didn't any of the people around Joe Biden say, "Mr. President, don't do this"? I mean, I forget about what they say publicly.
Sure.
What about privately? It doesn't seem that anybody has said that.
Actually,
No. I mean, before it became a public spectacle, in the year before he was on that debate stage.
It's absolutely malpractice. When he said, he promised us that he would do one term, he'd be a bridge. And by the way, Bakari and I are two of the people who, for a very long time in those years, kept saying, let's get the VP ready. Let's get the VP ready. And they didn't do that. That's the other piece that I think was malpractice, if your intention was to be a transitional president. So I'm not going to argue that I certainly wasn't around the guy enough to know. Certainly when we saw things like that, it was a little. And at the same time, though, we got to have radical transparency all around. I mean, Scott, you're asking very important questions, but let's ask those same questions. And it's not just about your cognitive impairment, by the way. I think it's about your physical health as well. I think we should know.
She's about to bring into Donald Trump. I've told a friend this. Everything the Democrats have done for the past 4 years, they have no leverage. They have no moral integrity to question the Republicans. I said this the week before the election, the week after the elections. The Democrats relinquished power. The moment they started covering everything up, lying, pretending, and trying to bamboozle the public, I said they relinquished every moral integrity they had to question Donald Trump. They cannot question Donald Trump or the Republicans. Because guess what? They will always turn it back on you. They will say, when you were in the office, what did you do for you to question us of what we are doing? So it's going to be tough for Democrats during the midterm elections, during the presidential election that's going to be coming, and who's going to be the candidate.
If a president is healthy, top to bottom, by the way. At the same time, I think we also have to have radical transparency about everything that's going on behind closed doors that is not a national security risk. We have a current president who has done away with all of the inspectors general, every means.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch this video. I saw it. I didn't watch it. Because like I've said, I like my reaction to be sincere and honest. I did not watch this video.
Of any kind of independent assessment of what is going on. So if we're going to say, I'm fine with saying what happened was malpractice. It shouldn't have happened. There are a lot of unanswered questions. We'll see how many of them are answered in the book. But we can't sit here in this moment and just look at Biden and not actually also look at what's happening right now in 2025 in the ways that this president is abusing his power
but I
and
think
authority.
I think there's actually a larger argument that people have made missteps in trying to make. I think that there is a certain level of dignity and respect that goes along with public service. And I think that we are also in a point trying to balance that and understand that there's time for a new generation of leadership as well. And regardless of my good friend Scott and what he may say about the greatest scandal in the history of American politics, I don't think anybody...
I said modern.
Modern. I don't think anybody watching this will actually believe that.
What's bigger than the cover-up of the decline of the president?
I can't say it because it's in segment 2, but taking a $400 million plane.
Oh, please.
So, but we'll deal with that. But what I'm also saying is something I think we can all agree.
What does the plane have to do with cognitive?
But what I'm saying is I was talking about the scandal. So follow me, Kevin. Yeah. But what I am saying is that there's something that we can agree with, is that I believe it's time for us to turn the page and have a new generation of leadership.
If I were you, I'd want to turn the page too, because the page
Chuck Grassley is 112.
The page that we're reading out of the Tapper Thompson book are pretty bad.
I mean, but it's on both sides.
Let me just read real quick.
Sides.
This is what the Biden spokesperson said in response to some of this. Yes, there were physical changes as he got older, but evidence of aging is not evidence of mental incapacity. And as far as we and so far, we are still waiting for anyone to point out where Joe Biden had to make a professional decision or a presidential address where he was unable to do his job
That's
because
not
of mental
true.
decline.
The Hur report, he had to testify. Robert Hur wrote in a report, I can't even charge this man because if I put him in front of a jury, they're going to say, oh, this is just a confused old man. We could never get a conviction. We had official government evidence that he was in cognitive decline. And what did the White House do? They smeared Robert Hur. They smeared him.
Yeah,
Do you-
I mean,
any
I'm
of you
not
all
disagreeing with
do you
with
not
the
feel
Rob-
lied to? Do you guys, the Democrats who ran your party, who ran the White House, the people who lied to you as a journalist, do you not feel any sense of outrage about Karine or anybody else in the line?
we don't
They
know.
lied
I'll
to
say
you
that.
guys.
We don't
I'll
know
say
what's
this,
going to
though.
be in the book, by the way.
Yeah,
So
by the way,
there will be more.
I'll
Much
say
more.
this,
Yeah.
just for me, I'm not a party operative for either side, but the outrage and the indignation, it kind of falls on deaf ears because I feel like I'm getting lied to every other day by the political infrastructure of someone. I think the country is dying from a disease worse than COVID. That disease is whataboutism. So as soon as we try to have this conversation, we talk about what about. The reality is this. I think that Americans saw that the president was not fit to serve another 4 years. He did not serve another 4 years. The question is, why did the party rally behind him and tell so many people that that was the case when it wasn't?
Hey, let me
and I
can I
think-
ask a question?
let me explain-
Bakari,
no,
let me
but
ask you.
hang on, let me
Hold
explain-
on. I want to raise this because I think it's very important. What he just said, the party rallied behind Joe Biden after that debate, specifically, actually, and perhaps most vociferously,
This is why Kamala Harris, if people are thinking Kamala Harris is going to come back and run for presidential election and actually win, you are mistaken. You are mistaken. Because how can you be a vice president and Joe Biden cognitively in decline and you are the second in command? You didn't know? You are coming out publicly defending Joe Biden and you think you're going to run for re-election or run for presidential election? Maybe she can run for the governor of California because they smoke too much weed in California. Their brain is kind of rotten. But to be the president of the country, Kamala Harris, just say, bye, 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 ain't not gonna happen. That's never gonna happen, Kamala Harris. Gavin Newsom, forget about it. AOC, forget about it. And whoever, well, I think in 8 years, probably, when people forget. But next year, or 3 years from now, absolutely not. But yeah.
Elected black lawmakers.
That's not
who
what
were
happened, though, and that's not
very
accurate.
who were incredibly loyal to Joe Biden.
But that's not accurate.
And
That's not what
I'm
happened.
wondering if people. I'm wondering if some of
But
those
that's not
people
what
are
happened.
also feeling lied to.
But that's not what happened.
why aren't we having an
but there
argument
are.
about
But Kevin, let me
How is
answer
that
the
not
question.
what
about the
happened?
Because let me explain to you what happened. Let me walk you through this process because a lot of people watching.
I think we all
simply,
know what happened.
No, but you
Hold on,
don't
Kevin,
because
just a
you're
second.
misinterpreting what happened.
No, I'm very clear what happened.
Hold on, Kevin. Let me let Bakari
let me
finish
explain to
what
you
he's
something you
saying.
do not know for 1 second.
I think I know.
So what happened was there are a lot of people who believe that Kamala Harris did not deserve to be skipped over. There also, in the same breath, are a lot of people who believed and understood that only one person could make this decision. And we did not want a firing squad trying to destroy the Democratic Party from within while you're trying to win an election. And so what we wanted to do was give Joe Biden the space to make a decision that we knew he would inevitably make while also making sure that the process was one
Let me
but
give you an
Kevin,
alternate fact.
I'm going to finish
You
sentences.
knew
Please
that he
do.
would inevitably make this decision, even though
There was no
he was
question that
in-
after the
he was
debate,
saying-
there was,
he was saying he would not do it.
After the debate, we knew that there was one thing that could happen. Only one thing that could happen, that he would make a decision. Now, you're asking questions about being president of the United States. I'm thinking in a campaign mode and who's running for president of the United States. And one of the things I will tell you is that there are a large swath of the Democratic Party, and people are going to say whatever, who did not simply want you to skip over Kamala Harris to be the nominee. And so, yes,
you're not finishing this properly. I was here.
I'm not finishing my thought properly,
Now we're
which
going
is
to
interesting.
talk about it.
Are you
They did
surprised
not
she would
run a
do that?
process. They picked a loser, and she lost, and she got
loser.
slaughtered because they didn't run a process.
Hold on.
Anybody could have done it.
First of all, like, let's just make sure that we maintain some respect for Kamala Harris.
The former Vice President
I
of the
think
United
referring
States.
to her as a loser.
She was never elected in a process.
I think
Yes, she
referring
was.
to her as
Not-
a loser
she
is
should have run against
disrespectful.
other contenders.
And I think that we need to make sure
That's
that we have a
that's
little
a
bit of
that's
dignity.
a that's a
You know,
that goes back to
after-
the. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
After Biden dropped out, I mean, he did basically disappear. He did show up at the convention, but from the point at which he dropped out of the campaign, he basically disappeared. And then after the election day, between that and the inauguration, he really disappeared. And I just think there are legitimate questions about at that point. If he was not fit to run for office, I argued at the time he was not fit to serve in the office at the time, yet he was not in the public eye. Decisions were being made, monumental policy decisions were being made, and I still want to know who was making them.
And
was the president?
Like I've said, who was the making the decisions? Who was in charge? Who made the decisions that allowed 13 military personnel? It cost 13 military personnel their life. Who made those decisions? Because clearly it was not the president or the vice president. So who made those decisions? We need to know.
You deserve those answers. And first and foremost, and lastly,
Okay,
there's nothing about Kamala Harris that's a loser. Let's just put it.
It's like
pin
that.
on
Oh,
that.
I think there is. She lost big time.
You gotta.
She lost an election.
The
got
biggest
slaughtered.
the biggest.
She got
lost an
slaughtered.
All right,
The big-
listen, we are not going to,
Disrespectful
hold
to
on.
this
I'm not being
Hold on a
disrespectful.
second.
I'm talking
Yes, you
fact.
absolutely
She
are.
got slaughtered because they
Hold on.
disavowed the process.
Hold on.
They
Kevin.
anointed her, and she got slaughtered.
I just want-
That's
that
what
was
happened.
the
We don't have to
process.
debate
Hold on a
fact.
second.
We do not have to debate fact.
Hold on a
Rules are
second,
the
Kevin.
facts, too.
Kevin,
But you like
just
to
just
think
one
she
one
was
point of
horrific.
clarification. She was elected in the
I just
2020
told him that.
election
She
was not
along with
elected
Joe
as president of the
Biden.
United States
She
because
was the vice president.
she was
she
anointed
she
into
was
that
elected
position.
on the ticket.
in 2020 on the same ticket as Joe Biden. So there's that.
It's hard
We
to
got to
tell
leave
the
it there for
truth.
this
She couldn't
conversation.
put
But
two
coming up
sentences
next,
together.
come on, Kevin.
It's true.
That is, we know that that's not true. Coming up next, breaking news involving the free jet that Donald Trump is accepting from the Qatari.
Yeah, they don't like it. She was a loser. She lost. Loser. I don't know what else they want. She lost. Loser. It's really that simple. She lost. Loser. I don't know what they felt so offended by, but yeah. So we want to know who was running the presidency when Joe Biden was in cognitive decline. Kamala Harris wasn't. Okay, so if Kamala Harris wasn't, what was Kamala Harris' job? What was she even the vice president? What were they hiding? And who made the decision for the withdrawal in Afghanistan? If it was not the president, who made it? It cost 13 military personnel their life and other civilians. It cost them their lives. So who was it? Who made the decisions? We would like to know. But yeah, thank you for staying with me and watching the videos. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it very much. Until next time, stay blessed and we out.